HOA drained my ranch pond. While I was abroad, my team came back and killed their bridge deal. What would you do if you returned home to find your sanctuary violated, your trust betrayed, and the very ground you stood on turned against you? For Ethan Caldwell, this wasn't a hypothetical question, it was the bitter reality that awaited him after a year abroad. His sprawling Texas ranch, a haven of rolling hills and a shimmering pond teeming with life, was more than a home. It was his legacy, a testament to years of sweat and sacrifice. But when he stepped off the plane in Austin, a cryptic message from his neighbor hinted at a disaster that would unravel everything he held dear. Ethan had left his ranch under the care of his trusted foreman, Javier, and a small team to maintain the property while he worked on an international conservation project in Brazil. The ranch, nestled in the heart of hill country, was his idea, 200 acres spread with a pond that sparkled like a sapphire under the Texas sun. It was home to fish, turtles, and herons, a delicate ecosystem he'd nurtured for a decade. The local homeowners association, HOA, led by the iron-fisted Margaret Hensley, had always been a thorn in his side, but their influence was limited to the nearby gated community, not his private land. Or so he thought. The message from his neighbor, Clara, was vague but ominous. "Ethan, you need to get back here. The pond, it's gone." His stomach churned as he sped toward the ranch, dust billowing behind his truck. When he arrived, the sight stole his breath. The pond, once brimming with life, was a cracked, muddy pit. The surrounding grasses were yellowed, the wildlife gone. A chain-link fence now encircled his property line, and a sign reading, "Approved by Cedar Hills HOA," stood defiantly at the edge. Fury surged through Ethan as he stormed to Javier's cabin. "What the hell happened?" he demanded. Javier, weathered and loyal, looked ashen. "They came in 6 months ago, boss. Said the pond was a drainage hazard for their new bridge project. They had permits, lawyers, everything. I tried to fight it, but they drained it while you were gone." Ethan's fists clenched. The HOA had no jurisdiction over his land, but Margaret's connections ran deep. County officials, developers, even the sheriff. They'd exploited his absence, knowing he couldn't contest their actions from 5,000 miles away. Ethan's mind raced. The bridge project was the HOA's crown jewel, a multimillion-dollar deal to connect their gated community to a new commercial hub. Draining his pond, they claimed, was necessary to redirect water flow and prevent flooding. But Ethan knew better. The pond was no threat, it was a calculated move to strong-arm his land into their vision of progress. Margaret had always coveted his acreage, offering to buy it for years. He'd refused every time, valuing his solitude over her promises of profit. Determined to fight back, Ethan called his old friend, Lila Torres, a tenacious environmental lawyer who'd battled corporate giants and won. Lila arrived the next day, her sharp eyes scanning the barren pond bed. "This is illegal," she said, her voice steady but laced with outrage. "They bypassed environmental regulations and forged your consent. We'll sue them into oblivion." Ethan felt a flicker of hope. Lila assembled a team: Javier, Clara, and a young biologist named Sam, who'd studied the pond's ecosystem for his graduate thesis. Together, they dug into the HOA's paper trail, uncovering a web of falsified documents and backroom deals. But the HOA wasn't Ethan's only problem. Enter Tom Wheeler, a wild card who appeared one evening at the ranch gate. Tom, a wiry man with a crooked smile, claimed to be a disgruntled former HOA contractor. "I know what they did," he said, his voice low. "Margaret paid off the county to rush the permits. I've got proof, mails, recordings, but I want in on whatever you're planning." Ethan was wary, but Lila saw potential. "He's a loose cannon, but we need him," she whispered. Tom's evidence was a goldmine. Audio of Margaret bribing officials, emails detailing the pond's drainage as a necessary sacrifice. Ethan's team now had a fighting chance. The legal battle began with a fury. Lila filed an injunction to halt the bridge construction, citing environmental violations. The courtroom buzzed with tension as Margaret, impeccably dressed and radiating confidence, denied everything. Mr. Caldwell's pond was a liability, she purred, her smile venomous. We acted in the community's best interest. But Lila was relentless, presenting Tom's recordings and Sam's ecological data showing the pond's destruction had killed off protected species. The judge, swayed by the evidence, issued a temporary halt to the bridge project, pending a full investigation. Ethan's team celebrated, but the victory was short-lived. Late one night, Clara called, her voice trembling. Someone's been on your land, Ethan. The fence is cut, and there's blood. He raced to the ranch, heart pounding. Near the pond's edge, they found a dead heron, its wings splayed, a clear message. Javier's face hardened. This is Margaret's doing. She's trying to scare us. But Tom, pacing nervously, dropped a bombshell. It's not just her. I didn't tell you everything. The developer behind the bridge theory tied to a bigger syndicate. They'll do anything to keep this project moving. Ethan's world tilted. The HOA wasn't just a group of meddling neighbors. It was a front for something darker, more dangerous. Lila urged caution, but Ethan was done playing defense. He and Javier devised a plan to hit the HOA where it hurt. The bridge deal's funding. Using Tom's insider knowledge, they leaked the bribery scandal to a local journalist, Rachel, who'd been sniffing around the HOA for years. Her exposé hit the front page, detailing Margaret's corruption and the syndicate's involvement. Investors pulled out, and the bridge project teetered on collapse. But Margaret wasn't finished. She confronted Ethan at a town hall meeting, her voice dripping with scorn. You think you've won? This town needs that bridge. Your little pond is nothing compared to progress. The crowd was divided. Some cheered her vision. Others rallied behind Ethan's fight for his land. Then came the twist. Tom, the supposed ally, stood up. I've got something to say, he declared. The room fell silent as he turned to Ethan, guilt in his eyes. I wasn't just a contractor. I helped Margaret plan the drainage. I thought I could play both sides, but I'm done lying. The betrayal stung, but Tom handed over a USB drive. Everything's here. Use it to bury them. Ethan was reeling, but Lila seized the moment. The USB contained irrefutable proof. Contracts linking the HOA to the syndicate, proof of forged signatures, and even a plan to seize Ethan's land through eminent domain. In court, Lila unleashed the evidence, dismantling Margaret's defense. The judge ruled in Ethan's favor, ordering the HOA to pay damages and restore the pond. The bridge deal was dead, and Margaret faced criminal charges. Ethan's team had won, but the victory felt hollow. As workers began refilling the pond, Ethan stood at its edge, watching the water trickle back. The herons would return, Sam promised, but it would take years to rebuild what was lost. Clara squeezed his shoulder, and Javier clapped his back, but Ethan couldn't shake the ache in his chest. He'd fought for his land, his legacy, but at what cost? Tom's betrayal, the syndicate's shadow, the dead heron all lingered like scars. He'd reclaimed his ranch, but the trust he'd placed in his community, in the idea of home, was gone. The sun set over the ranch, casting a golden glow on the shallow water. Ethan knelt, touching the muddy earth, and whispered, I'm sorry. He wasn't just speaking to the pond, but to himself, to the naive man who thought his sanctuary was untouchable. The water would rise again, but it would never erase the bitter truth. Even in victory, some losses cut too deep to heal. ND.